Good morning. I'm Phyllis Gardy, Director of Alumni and Community Engagement. While I would rather be meeting with you in person, it is still my pleasure to finally have the opportunity to greet you as a group and welcome you to Houghton College. Later this weekend, hundreds of alumni will be reconnecting with classmates via Zoom class reunions. And when it is safe to meet again in person, we will gather to celebrate these reunions on campus. It's probably hard to imagine at this point in your college experience that at the conclusion of your first year, you will be considered part of the alumni family, and that in 2029, you will be back for your 5-year reunion during homecoming weekend. As we continue this week and head into a weekend where we celebrate Houghton's past, present, and future, we just want to spend a short time with you this morning drawing you into Houghton's story. We're going to do this by sharing the vision, the work, and the legacies of Houghton College presidents. The readers we have chosen to help tell these stories all have strong connections to the stories themselves. Both Dan Noyes and Professor Doug Gardy know and share Houghton's history with prospective students and their families, new faculty and staff, alumni, and friends of the college. Dan is the former alumni director and was a student during President Dan Chamberlain's years at the college. Professor Gardy was hired and worked under the leadership of President Dan Chamberlain prior to Dr. Mullen's presidency. You will hear from two descendants of our presidents, Jim Luckey, the great-grandson of President James Luckey, and Carolyn Paine Miller, daughter of President Stephen Paine. Finally, you will hear from Dean Jordan, who will introduce President Mullen. Dean Jordan's grandmother was a beloved professor and a mentor of President Mullen's when she was a student here. Years later, Dean Jordan was invited by President Mullen to join her administrative team and now serves as mentor and friends to current students. As you can see, and as was witnessed in the stories we heard yesterday in chapel and will be apparent in tomorrow's Homecoming Legacy Chapel, Houghton's heritage is rich. The stories and impact of alumni, faculty, and staff have threads that run through generations and around the world. It is my pleasure today to welcome each one of you as one more thread in this long and growing legacy. Today, between 11 a.m. and 12:30 p.m., we invite you to pick up a scarf on the steps of the chapel. These scarves are a symbol and will be a reminder for you of these stories you will hear this week. Of course, purple and gold are the school colors, but think of the thousands and thousands of threads used to make up the whole of the scarf. You can think of these threads as the thousands of people who have come and gone out from Houghton College and touched others as they have served around the globe, pulling others into the intricate weaving of relationships born of this place. Hopefully this will warm your heart as well as your neck as you wear the scarf. We recommend that before you graduate that you identify someone in your life, a friend, a parent, a professor, and that you gift the scarf to them as a way of saying thank you for being influential in making Houghton College a part of your story. Let's pray, and then our first speaker will begin. Lord, we thank you for meeting with us today in this place and for the rich history that surrounds us. Thank you for the legacy of those who came before us and for those who make it possible for us to be here today. We are grateful for your many blessings and pray that you will prepare us here for our journeys beyond Houghton College, that we might seek to serve you in all that we do. Amen.
In 1851, at the age of 26, in a revival service at the local schoolhouse, Willard J. Houghton made a public profession of faith in Christ. Even as a new Christian, Houghton was deeply committed to his faith, and the next year he played a key role in the establishment of the Houghton Wesleyan Methodist Church, part of a new denomination that grew out of anti-slavery and a commitment to women's rights. While Houghton had just 3 years of formal schooling, he strongly supported education and was committed to the study of Scripture. Known as the Sunday School Man, Houghton traveled around the area, visiting local families and encouraging them to send their children to Sunday school. He helped many congregations establish Sunday school programs, and his expertise eventually took him into other counties and even out of the state to help local churches. Houghton saw education as a way to improve society, and he was convinced that young people were the key to positive social change. In 1878, Houghton wrote that, "It is hard to bend the old oaks, but the tender twigs may be straightened. This is the only hope for the future." One evening in 1882, Houghton was participating in the dedication of a new church building over in Short Track, just over the ridge to the east. Reverend Denison Kinney, a church official, was on hand to preach, and after the service, Kinney approached Houghton, saying there was a desperate need for a first-class seminary to educate the children of western New York and northern Pennsylvania. Houghton later said that his soul was moved at the midnight hour to ask and work for this school. And from that night until his death 14 years later, Houghton dedicated his life to making that school, this school, a reality. Willard J. Houghton was never a principal or a teacher in the school that bears his name. He was the chief fundraiser and admission counselor, traveling miles to raise money, encouraging young people to attend, speaking often, and praying much for the school he loved. He never accepted a salary for his work. This humble, small-town, uneducated farmer envisioned a school that would train young people to do God's work in a world that desperately needed fixing up. Late in life, Houghton wrote to a friend, "I verily believe before God that all we do to fix up this sin-cursed world will be among our richest treasures in the world to come." That vision of Willard J. Houghton, a humble and faithful Christian service, continues to live in this place today.
Classes began at the newly founded Houghton Seminary in September 1884. And that next spring, a 17-year-old local boy named James Luckey started classes. A year after he graduated, Luckey started teaching at Houghton. 2 years later, he left to get his teaching credentials from Albany State Teachers College, and then continued on to graduate work at Oberlin College in Ohio and at Harvard. When the Houghton Seminary, equivalent to a high school today, began offering college-level classes, the school realized that they needed some more serious academic credentials to provide leadership. And so they reached out to Luckey and asked him to come back to his alma mater. And from 1908 to 1937, James Luckey served as the first president of Houghton College. President Luckey was the driving force behind the transformation of Houghton from a tiny religious high school to a fully accredited, nationally recognized Christian college. With a deep love for his students, Luckey worked faithfully and tirelessly to help Houghton become a liberal arts college that could train students to serve the church not just as pastors, but as doctors and lawyers and teachers and business people. In 1923, the New York State Board of Regents granted Houghton a provisional charter so the college could begin offering a 4-year college degree. News of the approval prompted an enthusiastic celebration as students met President Luckey at the train station on his return from Syracuse, and they carried him on their shoulders in a torch-lit parade. Under Luckey's leadership, the college hosted its first artist and lecture series, as well as debate and oratorical contests. A year later, he became president. The Houghton Star was launched, and in 1925, the Boulder. During World War I, Luckey worked side by side with students in the extensive gardens that were planted to provide food for the dining hall. President Luckey, like Willard J. Houghton before him, worked right up until his death in 1937. Exactly 14 years to the day that Houghton had become a 4-year school. The Buffalo News noted that even though Houghton's 474 students were on spring vacation, 400 of them returned immediately to campus for his funeral. Even as he pursued his vision of transforming Houghton into a liberal arts college, President Luckey attended to the young people God put in his care, often quietly, paying their tuition or finding them jobs that could provide room and board so that they could continue their studies.
After James Luckey's passing in 1937, a young man named Stephen Paine was selected to serve as Houghton's next president. Just 28 years old, Paine became the youngest college president in the United States. But his stepping into a challenging role at such a young age shouldn't have been a surprise. After all, he had joined the Houghton faculty at the age of 24 as a Greek professor, and just a year later had been named the academic dean. When he became the president, 3 years later, his wife Helen, now the college's first lady, was just 23 years old. For the next 35 years, Dr. Stephen Paine skillfully guided Houghton through a time of tremendous growth and change, helping the college develop a national reputation for its academic excellence. Following World War II and the return of millions of GIs, the college grew from 333 students in 1944 to more than 800 just 4 years later. This rapid growth required a continual commitment to expanding both the college's physical facilities and human capacity. The addition of new buildings such as Gillette, Chenawana, Lambine, the Willard J. Houghton Library, Wesley Chapel, and the Campus Center helped accommodate more students, while the college's growing academic excellence was seen in the strengthening of the faculty. Under his leadership, the percentage of professors holding earned doctorates tripled. Houghton gained increased recognition for many of its academic programs, most notably in the sciences and in music. Dr. Paine's personal reputation for excellence was demonstrated by his selection to serve as the president of the National Association of Evangelicals from 1948 to 1950, and by his work on translating the New International Version of the Bible. President Paine knew that being excellent requires hard work. At his retirement celebration in 1972, one speaker noted that Dr. Paine has, quote, special expectations about faith and works. To Doc Paine, faith is something to help you get your job done, not an excuse for not doing it, end quote. Thanks to President Stephen Paine, that constant striving for excellence became an important part of Houghton's culture.
With the selection of Daniel Chamberlain to serve as Houghton's fourth president, the tradition of long-serving Houghton presidents was revived. Dr. Chamberlain served as the college's leader for 30 years. When he wasn't busy cheering at a soccer game, volleyball match, or basketball game as one of the Highlanders' most passionate fans, Dr. Chamberlain was working hard to build Houghton's reputation by strengthening the college's connections to a broad range of Christian, political, and educational institutions across New York and around the country. During his presidency, Houghton's campus changed dramatically again, just as it had under Dr. Paine. I guess 30 years in office will do that. The Nielsen Physical Education Center was built, Fancher Building was moved, the Chamberlain Center, the Center for the Arts, and the townhouses and flats were all built. The library was renovated, and the top floor of offices and classrooms was added. Burke Field became the new home of Highlander soccer and field hockey. And new programs were established and expanded as well. Off-campus programs in Tanzania, London, and Australia were developed, as well as the first-year honors program in East Meets West. The creation of the Intercultural Studies major helped to expand learning opportunities for Houghton students, making the world our classroom. Closer to home, the college began to offer adult education courses for non-traditional students at sites across western New York. With the creation of the Great Batch School of Music, Houghton's first graduate program was established. Under Dr. Chamberlain's steady leadership, the dream of a Houghton education became available to a broader range of students in locations far beyond the main campus of the Genesee Valley. His efforts helped to expand Houghton's influence and reputation in western New York and around the world.
In 2006, Shirley Mullen, a history major from Houghton's class of 1976, returned to the college as Houghton's fifth president. Her passion for the transforming power of Christian liberal arts education in the lives of students was clearly evident from the beginning, shaped by her previous experience in student life at Bethel College in St. Paul, Minnesota, and as a classroom professor and provost at Westmont College in Santa Barbara, California. During her first semester, she presented a chapel series challenging Houghton to be a certain kind of Christian educational community, a place of courage, conviction, and compassion. The label stuck almost immediately with the students. She became the community president, commemorated at the end of her first year with a customized, silk-screened t-shirt. The notion of community soon became the stuff of spot skits and self-referential ironic humor. It's also the single most referenced trait about Houghton the graduating seniors claim to treasure about their time at Houghton. President Mullen's continued emphasis on the solid foundation of community has been critical, as Houghton, like all of higher education, has faced the massive changes initiated by the economic downturn of 2008, demographic shifts, and monumental advances in communication technology. Since 2008, she has led the college in expanding its commitment to the STEM fields of science, mathematics, and technology, resulting in a stronger program of collaborative faculty-student research, upgraded facilities in Paine science, and, recently, Houghton's new major in electrical engineering. She's also led in more intentionally highlighting our location through our curricular and co-curricular commitment to creation care. We have the largest solar array adjacent to an educational institution in all of New York State. She has also led us to strengthen our commitment to ethnic diversity, both in Houghton's residential campus and through our off-site programs in Utica and Buffalo. As part of our preparation for reflecting God's kingdom, she's also led us in strengthening the emphasis on educating the whole person through closer partnerships between academics and student life, including our renewed focus on spiritual formation and wellness. Under her leadership, Houghton recently completed a $70 million fundraising campaign to maintain Houghton's long-standing tradition of making a high-quality Christian education affordable and accessible to students who might not otherwise have this opportunity. President Mullen continues to affirm that a Houghton education, grounded in a deep sense of our identity as God's children, and a commitment to excellence in critical thinking, communication, and community formation, is the very best preparation for a lifetime of effectiveness and impact in this world, with its ever-accelerating pace of change.
It's wonderful to be with you this evening to welcome you as part of the entering Highlander class of 2024. And so today, as we enter homecoming weekend, we are inviting you, the class of 2024, to become part of the larger Houghton community that includes not only students here on this campus, students at Houghton Buffalo Symphony Circle, Houghton Buffalo East Side, and Houghton Utica, but students studying remotely throughout the world on Houghton Online. But the Houghton family also includes thousands of alumni around the world for whom Houghton is their alma mater. That Latin term literally means nourishing mother and comes from the days when many students were actually orphans or were at least sent to schools where the sense was that they could be cared for and given a better future than they had at home. Now, today we don't think of Houghton as our mother in quite that same sense, but we do celebrate Houghton College as a place that continues to nourish in each of our students, and hopefully in each of our alumni as well, a sense of the potential that God has given to you and a large imagination of how God might choose to use this potential, get these potential gifts and talents to serve the world. In becoming part of this Houghton community, you are not only being nourished yourself, but you are being called to become part of the avenue through which God nourishes all the other members of the community. Each of us is invited to recognize the treasure we have in each other and to care for each other and to help each person around us, especially those members of your fellow classmates of the class of 2024, to become the very best person that they could be and more fully the person that God has created them to be. The privilege of being in person, as we say, has taken on a profoundly new meaning during these past 6 months. We have all become better at cultivating connections and true relationships over Zoom, but this season has made us even more deeply grateful for the privilege, whenever it is possible, of being together in real time and truly in person. Once you learn how to build community, both in person and online, you will not only have this Houghton community for a whole lifetime, but you will know how to build communities wherever you go in the world. And I could tell you so many stories of people just like you who retain friendships from Houghton for 20, 30, and 40 years. That's what you have to look forward to tonight. All of this ability to build community will be part of your gift and your impact on the world after you graduate. And so today, we look forward to presenting you with a one-of-a-kind Houghton scarf and welcoming you officially into the larger worldwide Houghton family.